no matter your opinion of the number 2 quarterback on the MT Top 40, there's no denying he was arguably the most physically talented and gifted in state history. A high school state champion on the Class AA football fields, a Heisman Trophy finalist in college, and the number 2 overall NFL draft pick. Those are numbers nobody else has in Montana's history. The number 2 quarterback in the modern era, former Great Falls CMR standout Ryan Leaf. And our trip back in time looks at Billings West and Wyoming record setter Gary Fox.
I could see right away when he played as a sophomore, he was the real deal also. He was going to win. And I just think of one game when it was really, really cold, and he single-handedly, and we had a pretty good sophomore team, took the game over and won it by himself. And I just thought to myself right then, this kid's going to be around a long time.
6'4" and a big, strong kid, and he could throw, he could the football. There's no doubt about that, you know. I'm just disappointed, you know, and he didn't have the career that we all wish he would have had, but those things happen sometimes.
Ryan Leaf was one of the most physically talented high school athletes Montana has produced, although he wasn't the starting quarterback at CMR till midway through his junior season, and it was a move that paid off for then coach Jack Johnson and the Rustlers. Leaf guiding them to the Class AA state championship, a 20-11 win over Helena Capital in 1992.
We just put in the play this weekend as a crossing pattern where we're going to set 2 guys across and bring the tight end back across the other way, and they bid on Almanza and Lucas, so Sweeney was wide open.
Well, Ryan was unbelievably talented, you know, and I think another thing that people have forgotten about Ryan, for me at least, I thought he was a fierce competitor. Ryan competed hard, he played hard, he hated to lose, and I don't know if he lost that down the road or something. I didn't get to see him play any pro other than on TV, but for us, you know, he's very talented and hated to lose, and he'd give it all he had.
CMR was knocked out of the postseason the following fall, Leaf's senior year, after a potential Rustlers touchdown was called back, and despite his athletic talents, Leaf never earned all-state accolades, which keeps his photo from appearing on the Great Falls CMR football's Wall of Fame at CMR Fieldhouse. Leaf was, though, an all-conference and all-state selection on the basketball court, earning the team's MVP honor and a selection in the Montana-Wyoming All-Star Series his senior year.
I think the defense in the second half, we really had to pick up the defense and play them tough. I knew if we could slow them down and get it into our controlled pace, you know, we were going to do a good job. I mean, they're a good team, but we're a real good team this year. We're well coached, and everybody's playing as a team. There's no individuals, and we've done a real good job.
I watched him play basketball a few times where he'd take one dribble from the free throw line and dunk the ball, so not a lot of people doing that. Not an everyday occurrence.
Highly recruited, Ryan Leaf would turn down offers from the likes of the University of Miami, choosing to attend Washington State University, where he would appear in 9 games in 1995, 654 yards and 4 touchdowns. As a sophomore starter in '96, Leaf completed 194 of his 373 passes for 2,811 yards, with 21 passing touchdowns and rushing for 6 more scores. He would become a college football household name as a junior, setting a Pac-10 single-season record with 33 regular season passing touchdowns. He also completed 227 passes for 3,968 yards and was named a Heisman Trophy finalist, finishing 3rd in the voting behind Charles Woodson of Michigan and Peyton Manning of Tennessee. Leaf would meet Woodson and the Wolverines in the 1998 Rose Bowl, Washington State's first appearance since 1931. And despite throwing for 331 yards and a touchdown, Leaf and the Cougars would fall 21-16. Michigan was your Associated Press national champion by season's end.
I was surprised when he didn't wind up at Miami. You know, they were recruiting him and Dennis down there, and we did get, that's the only time I got to see Ryan play in college was at the Rose Bowl. We went to the Rose Bowl, Roseanne and I and Mark and Janet. We drove down and watched him in the Rose Bowl. Yeah, great game. Came down to the last throw of the game.
Well, I think that's big and says a lot for the Great Falls community when you see people like that that's been produced and are performing and getting it done at that level. And I think that's really a credit just to the mentality of what we have here in athletics.
The Pac-10 Offensive Player of the Year, as well as first-team All-American, Ryan Leaf would declare for the NFL Draft, where he was considered a potential #1 pick. Of course, the Indianapolis Colts would take Manning with that first selection. Leaf, #2 by the San Diego Chargers, earning a 4-year, $31.25 million contract and the $11.25 million signing bonus. was the largest ever for a rookie at the time.
Well, I kind of knew it because I watched him and Dickinson grow up. They were in the same block I was. So I watched them as little kids, junior high kids, whatever. And my oldest daughter was about the same age. But you could just see it coming right there. But at the time, I never really thought about that they would end up like they did.
Ryan Leaf actually won his first 2 starts in the 1998 season, but struggled in a 1-for-15 performance on the road against the Kansas City Chiefs, throwing 2 interceptions and losing 3 fumbles. After a 4-interception game in his 4th outing, Leaf was benched by the Chargers. He finished the 1998 season with 111 completions on 245 attempts, 1,289 yards, but it was only 2 touchdowns compared to 15 interceptions, a QB rating of 39. Leaf was placed on the injured reserve list before the 1999 season after shoulder surgery. An injury came during training camp. He returned to the starting lineup in 2000, appearing in 11 games with 1,883 yards and 11 touchdowns, while throwing 18 interceptions and being sacked 31 times. San Diego started that season 0-for-11 and finished 1-15.
There's some bumps in the road, and you just got to pick it up and keep going and get it together and proceed. So hopefully he's done that.
The Chargers would release Leaf in February 2001 after he won just 4 games in 2 years as a starting quarterback. He was claimed and ultimately released by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in 2001, then signed with Dallas but failed his physical. The Cowboys would re-sign Leaf in October. He appeared in 4 games, 494 passing yards, but just 1 touchdown and 3 interceptions. He was set to join the Seattle Seahawks in the 2002 season, but retired from football prior to camp. Ryan Leaf finished his NFL career with 21 starts and 25 total games played, completing 317 of 655 passes with 3,666 yards and 14 touchdowns. After earning his degree from Washington State in 2005, Leaf eventually joined the West Texas A&M coaching staff, the volunteer quarterbacks coach, but was placed on leave in 2008 after being accused of burglarizing a player's home in search of prescription pain medication. He was arrested in his hometown of Great Falls in March of 2012 after once again breaking into a home. After another arrest in April 2012, Leaf would spend 32 months in prison, eventually being released in December 2014. Now, a motivational speaker and program ambassador for Transcend Recovery Community, Leaf and his fiancée, Anna, have a near 1-year-old son, MacGyver.
Yeah, I think he probably got thrown in the fire a little too early, there, and that things just didn't go well. And I think he's doing good now, and he's married and got a little one, so hopefully things will wind up in the long run good for him.
An All-State quarterback at Billings West in the late 1960s, Gary Fox was selected for the 1968 Montana East-West Shrine game, where he would earn MVP honors, leading the East to a 27-8 victory. Fox also played with fellow MT Top 40 selection Pete Lazatich. You remember him, the number 4 defensive lineman, in that Shrine game before he would set off for his college career at the University of Wyoming. Fox was a 3-year letter winner with the Cowboys, starting in the 1969 season, which saw him appear in 10 games with 69 completions for 800 yards and 5 touchdowns. That also included a 10-for-11 performance against the Air Force Academy, the highest single-game pass completion percentage in program history, 90.9%. Fox and Wyoming won that game 27-25. Fox would also rush for 4 scores that season in a backup role, then play in 10 games again the following year, completing 26 passes for 297 yards and a pair of touchdowns. But in 1971, Gary Fox would rewrite the Cowboys record book. Now a team captain and starting quarterback, Fox went 171 for 328, passing for 2,336 yards with 14 touchdowns. He still holds the Wyoming single-game average yards per completion, 25.4, after he threw for 305 yards on just 12 passes against the University of Arizona. He also became the first Cowboy quarterback to throw for more than 1,500 yards, as well as throwing for more than 2,000 yards, an achievement that he held alone until Craig Burnett threw for more than 3,000 in 1987. Fox's 171 completions in 1971 still rank in the top 25 in program history, and his 2,175 total offensive yards were number 1 at UW until 1979. Gary Fox, Ryan Leaf, some serious talent from Great Falls CMR and Billings West. Heisman Trophy finalists, East-West Shrine Game MVPs. You can read more about them at montanasports.com. There's only one to go, the greatest quarterback in Montana history. The MT Top 40 concludes on Friday. Richie Melby, MTN Sports.